Hello everyone. So the answer sheets for the IPMAT 2023 paper are out. Yes, they came out yesterday. And now that you have an idea of your scores, obviously the question that is being asked most commonly is whether there was a problem with the paper, yes or no. I think no. Secondly, what would be the cutoffs for the different examinations? Now the cutoff for IPMAT Indore works at two levels, the overall cutoff and the section cutoffs. So I'll very briefly touch upon these cutoffs as well, overall and the sectional ones for Indore and therefore for other colleges as well, right? Because this Indore score would be acceptable in other colleges. These colleges would be IFT, IM Ranchi, Tapmis, Nirmas, etc. This score is acceptable there. So what will be the likely cutoffs overall and section wise? And thirdly, what it also do is, since some of you might be looking at taking the exam again, some of you would be preparing for 2024 as well. So I'll just go through the paper to look at what questions should have been attempted, right? That will give us a very clear idea of the kind of cutoff that is expected, right? Typically, when I'm looking at cutoffs, I'm looking for cutoffs in the general category because typically that is the highest cutoff. For every other category, the category cutoff will be 10-20% lower than what it has been. Okay, so I'll start with the quantitative section, the short answer type section. Now, this short answer type section typically is the bane for students who have a problem with math, right? If I'm not good at math, this becomes a problem because the answers are not written in front of me, and therefore the cutoffs for this section are also a little lower. When we move on to the MCQ section, you'll realize why that happens. So for this section, you had 15 questions to be answered in 40 minutes. The likely cutoff for this section, the short answer type in QA, would be somewhere around, I think, 5 to 6 questions. This should be the sectional cutoff. That is a score of about 24, 25. A number of questions that could have been attempted here. Let's just have a very quick look at that. Now, since most of you do know me, the problem is I do not know higher maths, and this is another point of concern for a lot of students who are considering preparation for IPM Indore. The syllabus includes higher maths. So higher maths, typically when we think of higher maths, it includes trigonometry, where there are 2 thetas and 3 thetas, matrices, determinants, and since anyone who's done higher maths would know, it has differentiation, integration, and whatnots. Now the problem is I am an engineer and therefore mujhe kuch nahi aata. I have not been in touch with all of this. So with that handicap, I'll look at this paper and try and understand whether someone who say does not have maths in 11th and 12th, can they also look at the paper and genuinely expect to clear the cutoffs. One thing is for certain, I understand maths, right? So I'm not saying I'm going to leave all the higher math questions, but if I can solve them using basic math, I will be okay with them and I'll go for the questions. They may not be, my solutions may not be correct mathematically, but let us try to reach answers is what I'm trying to do here. Okay, so let's start with the first section, the short answer type. The first question here, right? The remainder when 1 factorial, 2 factorial, 3 factorial plus 95 factorial, the sum is divided by 50. Now, this is definitely a question that should have been done. In class also, while doing number systems and remainders, we did a very similar question. Again, a repetitive sort of a thing. So when we talk of 15, 15 is 5 into 3. And for any number which is 5 factorial and above, 5 factorial, 6 factorial, 7 factorial, all of them will be divisible by 15. And therefore, in this question, we will only looking at the remainder when these 4 numbers are divided by 15. 4 factorial is 24, 3 factorial is 6, 30 is divisible by 15, and therefore the remainder will simply be 1 plus 2, which is 3. A very straightforward question. Definitely that's something that should have been done in the examination, question number 1. The answer for this is 3. This question looked a little difficult, but if you go about just making the equations, you will be able to solve it. Should this have been attempted in the examination? Probably not, right? But what I would do here is also, okay, there are 4 gears, 1, 2, 3, 4. If the time taken for a distance in the 4th gear is x, in the first gear it will be 4x, 5x, 5 times the speed. and the car takes twice the time to travel a certain distance at second gear as in third gear. So if a distance takes y time here, it will take 2y time in the second gear. This is what is given. Initially, 100 kilometer was divided equally amongst these four. So I am saying 25 kilometers was covered at this speed, and therefore the time taken was 5x plus 2y plus y plus x is equal to 585, which meant 6x plus 3y is equal to 585, which meant divided by 3, 2x plus y is equal to 585 by 3. And for the second case, when the distance was 4 kilometers, 32 kilometers, and 60 kilometers at the four gears, I just had to find the time in terms of x and y. Now, if 25 kilometers takes time x, 1 kilometer will take time x by 25. So 60 will take 60x by 25 time. Similarly, here time taken will be 4 into 5x by 25. Here it will be 4 into 2y by 25. And here it will be 32 into y by 25. If you add these numbers, 4 5s are 20, you get 80x upon 25 plus 8. 40y upon 25 is equal to the time taken. And if from this you take out 40 by 25, you're left with 2x plus y, for which we had a value. So should you attempt a question like this in the examination? Probably not, because it might not strike you very clearly, but not a very difficult question per se. Then came a question on number of matches played. Typically, again, I think these questions, if you know how to solve it, they're not very difficult. Suppose there are 4 groups of n people each. Now, these people will be playing with the players in their team once. So every player here will have n minus 1 matches. With the other group, it will have, I think, 2n matches. Here it will have 3n matches. Here it will have 4n matches. So the total sum of games with each player will be the sum of this. Since there are n players, I multiply by n and then divide by 2, because every game is counted twice. This had to be more than 1000. A simple quadratic in n, put the values to solve. In the exam, you may not want to solve it, which is completely fine. Again, question number 4 is something I would have gone for. What a good point to start for questions like these, when you're looking at intersection points, the areas, the number of solutions, draw the graph first. If I have to draw the graph for this solution, y will be 0 when x is 4970 or minus 4970. And when x is 0, y will be my drawing, because the only thing that beats my handwriting is my drawing, okay, in being really bad. So this is the kind of graph we'll get for the first equation. For the second equation, y is equal to x square, I'll have a graph which is a normal quadratic graph, and therefore the intersection will happen at these 2 points. Clearly, this is a symmetric graph, and therefore, if the value here is minus x, the value here will be plus x. We have to find the distance between these 2 points. It will be a straight line. So if I just find the value of x, I'll multiply by 2 to get the answer. And therefore, I'm solving for x square is equal to 4970 minus x, because I'm solving for a positive value of x. So x square plus x minus 4970 is equal to 0, which would give the, now 4970 is 70 into 71, because the difference here is 1. We're looking for consecutive numbers. Therefore, x plus 71 into x minus 70 is equal to 0, which means x is equal to 70 becomes a positive value. So the distance between these two values will simply be 140. The moment you're able to draw the graph, you'll very clearly see the solution. But again, I'm not saying attempt this question in the exam. Might as well leave it. These kind of questions have been repeated. Here you try to make a pattern where you start with f is equal to 1. Then you try to find the value of f2, which will be 3 into 2 minus 1, which will be 5. Then you go for f3, which will be 3 into 3 minus 5, which is 4, and so on. So there was a pattern for odd number values of n, but again, not a question you're looking in the examination. This question, question number 6, is something that you should have done in the exam. This is a question that, again, is a part of the test series that we had. Very clearly a doable question, repeated sort of a question. At least the concept is repeated. It says, in an election with only 2 candidates, 15% of the voters did not turn up, 50 did not cast votes. So if the number of voters was x, 0.85x came to vote, and out of these 50, the votes were invalid. So this is the number of valid votes. it is known that 44% of all the voters, not the valid votes, but all the voters in the voting list voted for the winner. Therefore, winner got 0.44x votes, and the winner got 200 more than the other candidate. So the loser got 0.44x minus 200 votes. The sum of these will be equal to the valid votes, and that is all I have to do to form the equation. If I go on to solve this, I will get 0.88x minus 200 is equal to 0.85x minus 50, which means 0.03x is equal to 150, or x will come out to 5,000. I think so, right? So again, as I said, a test series question that we had, straightforward application of the voting concept. Question 6 was something that you should have done in the examination. So till now, in the first 6 questions, I think question 1, 4, and 6 is are the ones that could have been attempted in the exam. Then it says 3 consecutive coefficients of x plus y raised to power n. Now the coefficients of this, suppose the coefficients are nCa, nCa plus 1, and nCa plus 2. The ratio of these is given as 1:9:63. If you know binomial coefficient, you'll know this coefficient, and therefore you just compare them 2 at a time. The ratio here will be n factorial upon a factorial into n minus a factorial is to n factorial upon n minus a minus 1 factorial into a plus 1 factorial. When you divide these two, this gets cancelled. A factorial cancels out a factorial, only a plus 1 is left, and n minus a minus 1 factorial cancels out n minus a minus 1 factorial, and therefore from here you'll get a plus 1 upon n minus a. This is given as 1/9. Similarly, for the next two, we'll get the ratio 9:63 and solve from there. Again, in the exam, ideally avoid. Question 8, work question. These are questions that I will in any case do in the examination. It says, Amisha can complete the work in 20 days. After working for 4 days, she fell sick for 4 days. Very sorry for her. Resumed the work on the 9th day, but with half of her original work rate. She completed the task in another 12 days with the help of a co-worker who joined her for the 9th day. The number of days required for the co-worker to complete the task alone would be. Now, in this question, typically how we start, we say, okay, let the work be 200, and from there we find efficiency and solve. But if you look at this question logically, it is much easier to solve. Amisha worked for 4 days. Typically does the job in 20 days, therefore 16 days of work was left. She fell ill and then was working at half the efficiency. So to complete the work, she would have taken 32 days. But that did not happen. She was able to finish the work in 12 days because someone else was working with Amisha. Therefore, what I am saying is 20 days work of Amisha is done by this person in 12 days. 20 days work of Amisha is done by the person in 12 days. But Amisha was working at half the capacity. So typically this work that Amisha did in 20 days, Amisha would have done in 10 days. And therefore this work would have finished by that person in 12 days. The total work is 20 days. And therefore to finish the total work, the person will take double 24 days time. Does not require any calculation. If you just understand the concept, this is an oral question. Even if you're assuming values, this is a question you should have attempted. 9th, again, this is probably a question that should have been left. You get a series where the GN is 1 by 1 plus 2, 3 plus 1 by 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 1 by 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 and so on. This is nothing but 2 by 6 plus 2 by 12 plus 2 by 20 and so on, which is 2 into 1 by 2 into 3 plus 1 by 3 into 4 and so on. You get a series like this, but again, these are questions that you should look for in the exam only when you are sure what you want to do. If you have an idea where it will reach, start with it. Otherwise, just framing the first line of the question will take a lot of time. The total number of positive integer solutions for ABC lying between 21 and 25. Now, when I look at this question, I don't have a very good way of solving it. But what I'm saying is I can always say A plus B plus C is 21, or it is 22, or it is 23, or it is 24, or it is 25. These are the only possibilities. And to find out the number of solutions which are positive integers for an equation which reads a1 plus a2 plus a3 up to an is equal to r is simply r minus 1 cn minus 1. And therefore here it will be 20c2, here it will be 21c2, here it will be 22c2, and so on. add the number of solutions and you get the answer. Now, I will not count this question as a doable question because on the face of it, it looks lengthy. But if you have 40 minutes where you're trying to say attempt 8 or 9 questions, you have about 5 minutes per question. This calculation will definitely not take more than 5 minutes, right? So when I say which questions you should have done and which questions you should have left, there are 4 cases possible, right? Question, what I say and what you say. So one case is I say it should be done, you say it should be done. These are typically easy questions. The other is I say it should be done, you say it should not be done. Or I say it should not be done, you think it should be done, and then there will be questions that both of us think should not be done. Right? So these are pretty difficult sort of questions. I think here there is clarity because both of us agree. Here I understand it will be based on the concept of the topic that we are comfortable with. I am comfortable with arithmetic and things like that. I might feel like doing those questions. Someone who has an affinity for algebra might tend to attempt a different sort of questions. But what I'm saying is these two will compensate for each other. So if there is a question here, there would be a question here. So an overall analysis will turn out a similar picture. So when I look at this question, I am not saying attempt this in the exam, but some of you might think, yeah, this could have been done. बहुत मुश्किल नहीं था, value add करनी थी, straightforward formula था, तो ठीक है, कर सकते थे. Then question 11, I would have done this question, as I said, looks a very long question, but if you look at it, है बहुत straightforward. It says, this is the beginning of the year. Ankita will earn 10,000 at the end of the year. She plans to invest this in a bank deposit immediately at 0.5% per annum. So, 10,000 is invested at the end of 1 year of rate दिया हुआ है. Her yearly income will increase 10,000 every year. So, year 1 के end में 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. This is what 5 कहीं हाँ मैंने पढ़ा हुआ है इसको. 5 years. So here her salary is 10,000. Here her salary becomes 20. Here it becomes 30. Here it becomes 40. And at this end of 5th year, it becomes 50,000. On this, she is getting 0.5%. The simple interest offered by the bank on new deposits will also increase by 5%. So since this will be a new deposit, the rate will be 1%. Here it will be 1.5%. Here it will be 2%. Here it will be 2.5%. Every year. If Ankita continues to invest all her income in the new bank, the total interest earned at the end of the 5 years. Now, this money till 5 years will earn interest for 4 years. Therefore, 1,000 rupees at 0.5% for 4 years becomes a simple interest. This money will earn interest for 3 years, so 20,000 at 1% for 3 years becomes a simple interest. This money will earn interest for 2 years, so 30,000 into 1.5 into 2 upon 100, and finally this money will earn interest for 1 year, so 40,000 into 2 into 1 point upon 100. Simply add these 4 numbers, you get the answer. Straightforward question. You just have to first of all not miss this word and don't get bogged down by the length of the question. Just because the question is long does not mean it will take too much time to solve. Then comes question 12. Some of you actually left this question, but this was a very doable question, though it has logs and powers. But if you break it down, if you just do one step, you'll realize it is not very difficult to solve. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing the power here. So I can write this as log of x to the base 2 square into log of 2 to the base 2. This happens to be 1. Minus 5 log of x to the base 2 plus 6 is equal to 0. The moment this happens, substitute log of x to the base 2 as y. Therefore, this becomes y square minus 5y plus 6. And we know that for this, the solution is y is equal to 2 and y is equal to 3. Substitute this by log of x to the base 2 is equal to 2, log of x to the base 2 is equal to 3. And there you have it. You have the two solutions as 4 and 8 multiplied. Definitely a doable question if you're preparing for IPMAT. Next, the polynomial, बहुत बड़ा polynomial दिया है, is divided by x minus 1, leaves remainder 2. We know that if a polynomial is divided by x minus 1, the remainder is simply f1. So when you're dividing fx by x minus a, the remainder is f of a. So substitute 1 here, you will get the value. So basically it becomes 4 minus 1 plus 3 minus 5 plus c plus 2 minus 1 plus 1 minus 4 plus 6 minus 2 is equal to the remainder, which is 2. I get the value of c. This will come out to 7 7, 6, 6, 3. C comes out to -1, so C plus 6 is 5. Definitely a doable question, should have been attempted in the exam. Okay. Now, some of you might not have actually done this question 14. But as I say, in questions like these, draw the graph. The moment you draw the graph, you will get a very good idea of what is to be done. X square plus y square is equal to 4. If I look at it as a circle, now just look at the kind of circle I'm going to draw. It will be perfect. See, I'm getting better at this. This is this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. This is my circle, the center at 0, 0. This is 2, this is -2. The points A and B, right? Yeah. Now we are drawing a triangle ABC with integral area. So if I take a point C here, right, this will be a right angle triangle. I draw to find the area, I drop the perpendicular CD. So the area of the triangle will be half of AB into CD. We know that AB is of length 4. So half of 4 into CD. Therefore, the area is simply twice of CD. So as long as CD takes a value of say 0.5 or 1 or 1.5 or 2 and so on, we will get a integral area, right? Now let us see how that can happen. So there will definitely be a line here which can have a length of 0.5. Then there can be a line here which will have a length of 1. Then there will be a line which can have a length of 1.5. This line in itself will have a length of 2. So since there are 3 lines here, there will be 3 lines here. So total of 7 lines above the x-axis and therefore 7 lines below the x-axis. Therefore 14 possibilities are there. You try to solve this question using equations, counting points. It is it might be difficult. But if you're able to draw the graph for this question is something that you will be able to solve very easily. We discussed this concept in class as well. And therefore, again, ये वो dispute वाला question होगा. मैं बोलूंगा कर लो, तुम बोलोगे मत करो, which is fine. This I think was again an easy question. A, B, C, D, 4 variables, A plus B plus C plus D is equal to 2023, and the ratio is given. So A is 2x, B is 5x, C is 5y, D is 2y. This is equal to 2023, which means 7 of x plus y is equal to 2023. I hope this is divisible by 7. So x plus y is equal to 7 3s are 20. So 7 2s are 14. 6 2. 7 8s are 56, 289. Right. Now we have to maximize A plus C. A is 2x. B is 5y. Also, they are positive integers. So to maximize this, I'll have to maximize the value of y. From here, I can take x as 1 and y as 288. Because they're positive integers, so 5x has to be a positive integer. It cannot be a decimal. It has to be 1 for both 2x and 5x to be integral. So therefore, the value will be 2 plus 5 into 288, which becomes the answer. Doable question. So out of these 15 questions, देखो जो question में doable बता रहा हूँ मैं उसको solve भी किया है और मुझे नहीं लगता that it would have taken more than 20-25 minutes. So when you have 40 minutes, it could have been done. So as far as I am concerned, now question numbers 1. इसको थोड़ा साइड में लिख लेते हैं या नीचे लिख लेते हैं, बेटर रहेगा. Question 1. टू छोड़ दो, 3 छोड़ दो. Question 4. 5 छोड़ दो, 6 छोड़ नहीं 6 तो करना था. 6 7 you can leave. Question 8 definitely doable. Question 9 छोड़ दो. Question 10 चलो छोड़ो. Question 11 I think should have been done. Question 12 should have been done. 13 should have been done. 12, 13, 14. Again, I would say in the exam cut off 5-6 questions से ऊपर नहीं जाएगी. It's had 30 to be done in 40 minutes. The cutoff for this I think will go up to somewhere around 13 to 14 questions. Right, net correct. Because again, the biggest reason for this is the set, the LR set which was there was an easy sort of a set, and therefore the cutoff will likely jump. So about 20 to 25 in the first short answer type, about 50, 52 in the MCQ type should be the cutoff. Here it says 120 students, 80 from science stream, rest from commerce, 70 support Mumbai. Again, this was not a question on equations. You just had to maximize or minimize looking at the options. So when if I say 80 are science and rest are commerce, so this is 0, which is 40 are commerce, 70 support Mumbai Indians, then the science students who support Mumbai Indians. So out of that 70, first of all, I fill commerce. So 40 go here, minimum 30 have to be here. Therefore, science students supporting Mumbai has to be 30 or more. That was it in this question, doable question. If the harmonic mean of the roots of the equation, if you're looking at the equation, you might not solve it, but बहुत doable सवाल था. Harmonic mean is simply 2ab by a plus b, right? So this is nothing but 2 into sum of roots, which will be 8 plus 2 root 5 upon 5 plus 2 5 plus root 2. Sum of root, this is product of root. Sum of roots will be minus b upon 5 plus root 2. This is given as 4. ये हुआ cancel and that is 8. B came out to minus a plus b हो जाएगा, sorry. So 8 plus 2 root 5 upon 2, which is 4 plus root 5. That is it. Doable question. Question 3, here you had ABC. There was D, which was the median. The ratio was given as, I think, 243, ABC. And you had the median as well, which was the perpendicular was BM. BD was the median. So for the length of AD, there is something called an Apollonius theorem. You apply the theorem directly, it says AB square plus AC square is equal to twice of AD square plus BC by 2 square. Right? Since the length of AB, BC, CD can be assumed as 243, you get the value of AD. For AM, worst case scenario, you could look at two right angle triangles where this is 2, this is say X, this is Y. This will be 4 minus X, 3 and Y. You write two equations, cancel out the X, and you get the answer. Again, I'm not saying do this in the exam, but yeah, formula based question. This was, I think, a tricky question, but once you break it down, it becomes quite an easy question. So I rearranged this to get, this looks like an equation of the circle. So I rearranged this to see how I can form the circle. Now, if I have x square minus 2 to complete the square, I need a 1. X plus 1 whole square. To complete the square here, I need a 4. 4 plus 1 is 5, therefore this becomes 0. So what I get is x minus 1 square plus y minus 4 square is equal to 0. Now, this is a circle with radius 0. A circle with radius 0 is simply a point, and that was the answer. Again, if you are able to just complete the square, you would have done this question. Question 5 is a very, very doable question. इसको मैं कर भी नहीं रहा. There are 4 sides, 100 km side दिए, speed दिए, find out the time, total distance, total time, answer आ जाएगा. The answer will be 192 miles per hour. Should have been kilometers per hour. I think कुछ गलती है इसमें. It should have been kilometers per hour, not miles. So question 5 should have been in question 6. अब देखो, मैं as I said मेरे को हायर मैथ्स नहीं आती. Cos alpha, cos beta, अपना बीटा. अब सवाल ये, how do I do this? The first thing that I will try, again, to a question like this, I will give about 1 minute sort of a time to see whether I can crack it or not. I try to put values in check. Cos alpha plus cos beta is equal to maximum value of sin alpha minus sin beta. So I have to minimize this. Sin beta is minimum at 0. यहाँ 0 डालूंगा तो खत्म हो जाएगा. नहीं, यहाँ पे 1 आ जाएगा. तो ये 0 होना चाहिए. Cos alpha थोड़ा अजीब सा हो जाता है, right? So what I am saying is square कर लेते हैं, because एक formula पता है. So if I square this, I get cos square alpha plus cos square beta plus 2 cos alpha beta. Cos alpha cos beta is equal to 1. इसको लिखते हैं 1 minus sin square alpha plus 1 minus sin square beta. Sorry, is equal to 2 cos alpha plus 2 cos alpha beta. Cos alpha cos beta is equal to 1. Therefore, sin square alpha plus sin square beta will be equal to, इसको 1 को इधर ले, 1 plus 2 cos alpha cos beta. इसको स्क्वायर कंप्लीट कर देता हूं. सो आई वांट sin alpha minus sin beta whole square. Therefore, here I'll have to add I'll have to subtract minus 2 sine alpha beta on both sides. Right? This becomes 1 plus 2 cos alpha beta, 2 cos alpha cos beta minus 2 sine alpha sine beta. So this becomes 1 plus twice of cos alpha cos beta minus sin alpha sin beta. Again मुझे पक्का याद नहीं है देखो, बट ये शायद ये क्या हो गया, जस्ट अ सेकंड, आई एम सॉरी. Yeah, so पूरा खत्म हो गया. So what we had, where we had reached was sin alpha minus sin beta का whole square had come out to 1 plus twice of cos alpha cos beta minus sin alpha sin beta. Now I am not sure, but कुछ vague memory है that this is something like cos alpha minus beta, right? Now the maximum value of this can be 1 cos, and therefore the maximum value on the right hand side can be 3. Therefore the maximum value for sin alpha minus sin beta will be root 3. I am not saying do this in the exam. If I am not able to solve questions, I might take the risk, but otherwise no point of taking the risk. This was again a very simple question, looks at geometric progression and Pythagoras theorem. So a person moves 32, goes down 16, goes back 8, goes up 4, then goes forward 2, then goes down 1, and so on. So if you look at the net vertical displacement, horizontal displacement will be 32 minus 8 plus 2, and so on. The net horizontal displacement will be 16 minus 4 plus 1, and so on. They are geometric progressions. So find the sum of these two geometric progressions: 32 upon 1 minus 1 by 4 and 16 upon 1 minus 1 by 4. You will get the horizontal and the vertical displacement from the starting point. Use Pythagoras theorem to solve. Not saying you should have done this. अच्छा अब ये देखो question number 8. इस टाइप के क्वेश्चन आई थिंक एग्जाम में कर लेने चाहिए, बिकॉज इट सेज ABC आर real numbers greater than 1, n be a positive real number not equal to 1. Okay, log of n. So if I look at this, I'll get log of a to the base 2 will be equal to n. Log of b to the base 2 will be, this should be n here, n square, and log of c to the base 2 will be equal to n cube. Removing the log, so n cube is equal to this. Also from here I can say a is equal to n square, b is equal to 2 raised to power n square. Sorry, this is 2 raised to power n, not n square. And c is equal to 2 raised to power n cube. Just put the value of n is equal to 2. You will get a is equal to 2 square. You will get b is equal to 2 raised to power 4. You will get c is equal to 2 raised to power 8. Substitute the values in the options to get the answer, and that was all you had to do for this question. Therefore, I am saying these are questions that should be done in the exam. They don't test your math with algebra. They just test your maths. This I think was a difficult question. Here you would have to make cases. So basically, again, not getting into this question, but if you write x as integral plus fractional part, here you'll get twice of the integral part is equal to I plus f plus n into f. And therefore, I will be equal to n plus 1 into f. Now you keep the value of n is equal to 1 and see for what value of f will you'll get I. So you'll get the values of x. Make cases to solve. Not a question that should be done in the exam. Matrices determinant. देखो ये मेरे को आता नहीं है. But if I have to solve, I would probably go for it. It says a cube minus 3a square minus 5a is equal to 0. And therefore, I can say a into a square minus 3a minus 5 is 0. Which means a has to be 0. Right? And that's about it. इसके बाद कुछ करना नहीं, because if this is 0, then a minus 6 has to be 0. So a is equal to 6. This becomes the answer. Right? So yeah, question 10 could have been done. 11, again, just look at the options. You have to look for a number which when divided by x minus 1 leaves a remainder of 1. X minus 2 also leaves a remainder of 1. So 3 minus x becomes the answer here. Yeah. Question 12 is a doable question for the simple reason that there are 5 contestants and they are winning matches. Winner of a game gets 1 point. Which of the following is not the score of a player? Now, suppose the first player wins all 4 matches. He will get 4 points. What is the maximum score that the second player can have? Since the first player has defeated all the other players, obviously this person would have at least 1 defeat. So the maximum points that he can have is 3. But here it says 4, 4, 1, 1. And therefore this is never possible. End of question. Therefore should have been done. Again, this question I think could have been done. All you have to do is you have to say, uh, write this as 1 by log of sin x to the base cos x, and then replace sin x to the base cos x as y. So you'll get y plus 1 by y is equal to 2, y square minus 2y plus 1 is equal to 0. So y value comes out to 1. And therefore, cos x has to be equal to sin x, which happens at 45 degrees, which will be in the first quadrant, so that both the values are 1. So 2n plus pi, and pi by 4 is 45, and therefore that becomes the answer. I think question 14 could also have been tried. If nothing, just make cases. So if I have 3, I'm starting with the smallest number. If I have 3 coins, there are 8 outputs possible. H, 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 T, H, T, H, T, H, 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 T, T, H, sorry, T, H, T, 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 H, and T, 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 right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We need that the probability of getting at least 1 head exceeds 0.8. Here, the probability cases out of the 8, there is at least 1 head. I know this value is more than 0.8, and therefore 3 becomes the answer. Doable sawal tha if you look at the options. Again, this was a very doable question. You had the cost price, you had the profit, so you know the selling price, you knew the discount, therefore you knew the mark price. Now, since the larger sphere has been broken down into smaller sphere with radius 1/5, therefore the ratio of the number will be 1:5 cube. Since the ratio of the radius is 5:1, the number will be the volume will be 5 cube is to 1. Therefore, the number will be in the ratio 1:125. So once you have the total market price, you simply have to look at the divide by 125 to get the answer. Again, एक और question आ गया. Higher match ये तो मुझे आता नहीं है. But अगर मैं ये circle बना लूँ, so this circle will be x minus 3 whole square plus y minus 2 whole y plus 2 whole square. And for this I will add 9, so minus 9 minus 4 minus 13 minus 12. This will be the circle that I get. Centered at 3 minus 2, having a radius of 5. Now what I'm saying is, if there is a line tangent to it, then the distance of the line or the distance of the center from the line should be equal to the radius. If I say choose any one of the lines, the distance of the center from this line will be 4 minus 3. 4, sorry, x is 3. 4, 3 plus 3 minus 2 plus 19 by root of 4 square plus 3 square mod. If this comes out to 25, what is it? 12 minus 6, which it does, right? So this will be 25 root 25. 25 upon 5, which will give me the radius as 5, which is my radius here as well. Since this is equal to the radius, so the line will be tangent. And therefore, I'll get one value from here. Similarly, I'll check for this. It comes at minus 31, and therefore option 2 becomes the answer. I don't know how to solve it. I don't know what the method is. पर मैं सिर्फ बोल रहा हूँ मुझे distance formula पता है मैं वो लगा के solve कर लूँगा. ये बहुत doable question था. Positive integer such that unit digit of p cube is 4. So p obviously has to be an even number. 2, 4, 6, 8 पे check कर लो. Here p cube has unit digit 8. Here it will have 4. Here it will have 6. Here it will have 8, 64, 32. This is the only possibility. So p plus 3 will be a number which ends in 7, and 7 cube ends in 7 sevens are 49, 4 9 are 63, 3 becomes the answer. Again, cyclicity है, but कोई बहुत भारी concept use नहीं हुआ है. This is also a question that should have been done. All you have to do is from 100 to 999, look at multiples of 3, which will be what? 300. Look at multiples of 4, which I think will be 225. Look at multiples of 12, which I think will be 75. Add these to subtract, you get the required numbers divided by 900. Again, if you've done number systems, this was something that we did in the very first class. The inequality is missing here. But I think this also was a question that was doable. The inequality read, I think, x square प्लस एक्स स्क्वायर प्लस एक्स, कुछ ऐसी इनइक्वालिटी थी, 2x plus 1 cube is greater than 0. This was the inequality in the question. So if I multiply numerator and denominator by x minus 1, I will get this. And then I multiply the numerator and denominator by 2x plus 1. I will get this. Since the denominators are squares, they will have to be greater than 0. This is also greater than 0. So all we have to check for is x plus 1 into x minus 1 into 2x plus 1 is greater than 0. The three roots will be minus 1, minus half, and 1. So the positive area will be plus, minus, plus, beyond 1 and between minus 1 and minus half. Definitely doable question. In this question also, I think since they have a common root, in questions में करना क्या होता है वो देख लो यार, solve करने मत जाना, value assume कर लो. So I am looking for A1, A2, A3 to be geometric progression. The first number that comes to mind is 248 लेके देख लेते हैं. Now 2x square या rather 124 लेके देख लेते हैं. So x square plus इधर 2 डालेंगे तो 4x plus 4. 1, 2, 4. Therefore, x plus 2 will come out. This will be x plus 2 square. Therefore, the root is x is equal to minus 2. That has to be the root here as well. And therefore, I can write minus 2, sorry, b1 into 4 minus 2 minus 4b2 plus b3 is equal to 0. Which means 4 b1 plus b3 by 4 is equal to b2. Right? Now, if I write this as 2 by 2, you will realize this is nothing but b1 upon a1 because a1 plus 1, b3 upon a3 because a3 plus 4 is equal to 2b2 upon a2 because a2 was 2. This is the form for a arithmetic progression, and therefore b1 upon a1, b2 upon a2, b3 upon a3 should be an arithmetic progression, becomes the answer. If you assume the value, it is a question that can be done in about 2 steps. Again, in this question also, I think it was a question that you should have attempted for the simple reason कि value check करनी थी. There are two conditions, 1, 2. This is a plus b plus c plus d, and then this is the third condition. So you check for this. If you substitute a by c, you will get c plus b upon b plus c, which is 1, c plus d upon d plus c, which is 1. So this is true. If you write a plus b plus c plus d is equal to 0, a plus b can be written as minus c plus d upon b plus c, which can be written as or readily minus b plus c plus upon b plus c. C plus d I already have here. D plus a can be written as minus b plus c. As you can see, they are equal. So for both these conditions, the statement is true, and therefore 3 becomes the answer. सिर्फ options से solve करना, कुछ नहीं करना है. This is also a question which I think was a repeated question. A very similar question had been asked in a previous IPMAT exam. So if you've done PYQs, this is a question that you would have done very, very easily. मैं इसको भी count करूंगा in a doable question. This was again a question जो अगर समझ आ जाए तो बहुत आसान है, नहीं हो तो टाइम ले सकता है, छोड़ दो करने के लिए. बट अगर इस क्वेश्चन को देखते हो तो बेसिकली the pawns should not be in the same column and row. So for the first pawn, I'll have 8 into 8 options. अब ये वाली row, ये वाला column खत्म हो गया. For the second one, I'll have 7 into 7 options. For the third one, I'll have 6 into 6 options and so on. Therefore, the total options will be 8 factorial square. But the pawns that we have can be interchanged and they are not different, and therefore I'll divide by 8 factorial. Because when you're arranging 8 similar items, you divide the total number of arrangements by 8 factorial, and therefore the answer was simply 8 factorial. Not something जो exam में देखना था. ये वाला question definitely करना चाहिए था, because again exercise का question है. We've done this in class. Simply values put करनी है, solve करना है, cases बनाने थे. 5 steps of 2, 4 steps of 2, 2 steps of 1. So this happens in one way, this happens in 6 by 4 factorial, 2 factorial, और ऐसे करके 5 केस बन के ऐड करेंगे. This is a question that has been done. This question also is pretty simple. Just put in the formula 3pr cube is equal pr cube upon 100 cube plus 3pr square upon 100 square is equal to 527. Value of r is given. P आ जाएगा 1700. ये वाला question भी difficult नहीं था. Therefore, I am saying the number of attempts in this section will not be very low. अच्छा खासा attempt जाएगा. यहाँ पे बोला था that every drug has to have at least one or two ticks that is working, and for every organism there have to be 2 or 3 ticks. Wherever A is a tick, B will be a tick. Wherever C is a tick, D will be a tick. Therefore, because C is a tick here, B becomes a tick. इसलिए ये दोनों क्रॉस हो जाएंगे. Because A is a tick here, this becomes a tick. इसलिए ये क्रॉस हो जाएगा. Right? हम इस पर आ गए. Also because B यहाँ पे क्रॉस है तो A को भी क्रॉस होना पड़ेगा, वरना B would have been a tick. Next, it says DNA cannot be tick in both cases. If one works, the other does not work. अब अगर P में मैंने यहाँ टिक किया तो यहाँ क्रॉस आएगा, और अगर D क्रॉस है तो C भी क्रॉस होगा. So this cannot be a possibility. Therefore, E has to be a cross here, which means यहाँ पे एक भी टिक नहीं है. This has to be a tick. इधर 3 टिक आ गए, इसलिए दोनों क्रॉस हो जाएंगे. इस लाइन में अगर आप देखोगे तो C और D बच रहा है, और यहाँ पे अभी तक एक भी टिक नहीं है. Therefore, there have to be minimum 2 ticks, और ये क्वेश्चन यही खत्म. This will not take more than maybe 2.5 minutes to solve, and all the 5 questions are straightforward questions from here. So if you're looking at this section, I'll just very quickly run through questions जो करने चाहिए थे. Question count करते. Question 1, question 2, 3 छोड़ दो, 4, 5 definitely, 6 छोड़ दो, 7 छोड़ दो, 8 चलो छोड़ो हटाओ, 9 definitely not, 10 होना चाहिए था पर मैं इसे भी काउंट नहीं कर रहा. 11 कर सकते थे, इसे भी काउंट नहीं कर रहा. 12 होना चाहिए था. 13 should have been done. 14 हो सकता था. 15 definitely. 16 में I am not counting. 17 definitely. 18 definitely. 19 definitely. 20 चलो छोड़ो हटाओ. 21 should have happened. 22 again repeat question should have happened. 23 छोड़ दो. 24 repeat question should have happened. 25 formula based question should have happened, and then these last 5 questions should have happened. So if you're doing these questions, your attempt in this section could have gone up to 20 questions. So पहले वाले में 8 क्वेश्चन, यहाँ पे 20 क्वेश्चन, 28 का अटेम्प्ट हो गया है. मेरा स्कोर 112 के आसपास जाके बैठ जाएगा जस्ट ऑन दीज 2 सेक्शन. सो व्हाट आई एम सेइंग इज, जो शॉर्ट आंसर टाइप था उसमें और एमसीक्यू क्यूए वाले में, and then comes verbal ability. For Indore, the sectional cutoff should look something like 24, 53, 54 here. And what I am saying is, यहाँ पे 32, यहाँ पे लगभग 80 marks का attempt हो सकता था. Then look at the oral cutoff. Now, verbal in this paper was really easy. Anyone who did well in English will have higher chances of converting. So if you are someone who dreads math, मुझे maths नहीं आती, या ये है कि maths छोड़ी हुई है, please understand, to clear the paper, the IPMAT Indore paper, the core will not be math. It will actually be English, because the expected cutoff for the verbal section, which had 45 questions, 45 ही थे ना, हाँ, तो यहाँ पे the expected cutoff, I think out of 180 could go as high as 110 or even 120. मैं cutoff की बात कर रहा हूँ, right? So the moment you put this here, you're looking at 78, about a overall cutoff of 190 odd, 180 to 190. Yeah, इसको थोड़ा higher side तक है, let's keep it at 190, right? So this attempt had to be very, very high. अब मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ, suppose you ended up getting 112 here and say 100 marks here, your overall score will be 212, but even then you might not get a call because the verbal cutoff could be high, right? So when you're preparing for IPMAT, please make sure you're giving enough time to verbal ability. Why it was easy was because if you look at the passages, there were 2 passages. They were not very long. First of all, reading time would not be more than 3 minutes, and they were not very difficult to understand. Health risk की बात करी थी, sleep deprivation से. A lot of questions were factual. Objective वाला चलो ठीक है, वो था. ये वाला factual question है, ये वाला factual question है, ये main focus का question आ जाता है. But again, options काफी easy थे because it talks about sleep deprivation. बाकी सारे उसके effects थे. Not a very difficult question. This again was a straightforward factual question. This was a factual question. 6 में से 4 factual question थे. Main fact वाला question के options बहुत basic सीखते हैं, therefore out of these 6, 4 or 5 attempts are very very possible. Second जो था वो एप्पल स्टोर्स पे था, ये हमें वैसे ही सब कुछ पता है इसके बारे में, तो अगेन बहुत ज्यादा पढ़ने वाला इसमें कुछ था नहीं, ये सीधा सीधा फैक्चुअल सवाल था. रेगुलेटरी रिस्ट्रिक्शंस वर ईज्ड इन आई थिंक 2023 नहीं 2017 या कुछ था 2019, ये देखो यहाँ 2019 स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चन. अरे जस्ट अ सेकंड, ये यहाँ बैठा हुआ है, अरे कैरिड अवे, ये 2019 में बैठा हुआ था, राइट. सो अगेन द पॉइंट इज स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड फैक्चुअल क्वेश्चन, तो ये हो जाते हैं. यहाँ पे भी अगर आप देखोगे तो बहुत मुश्किल क्वेश्चन नहीं था. अगर इफ यू जस्ट रीड द ऑप्शंस यू विल रियलाइज कि not have an impact on Apple's image, not have an impact. हाँ, तो ये question this is mentioned in the passage essentially, factual का question था. ये question this could have been a question which would have gone out of place. Forward question था. Options in the 11th question were very simple, therefore could have been done. 12th wala question again not something that was not mentioned in the passage. What I'm saying is out of the 12 passage questions, if you were investing about say 12 minutes, you would have gotten somewhere around out of the 10 easily 9 to 10 questions in your bag, right? Therefore the moment that happens the overall attempt is going to go high because इसके बाद question में time कम लगने वाला है. Now if you look at these questions में कुछ भी नहीं पढ़ रहा, I am just looking at the options. When you do something for someone out of the way, it is called to go the extra mile. This has to be the answer. मैंने question नहीं पढ़ा है, मैं सिर्फ आंसर बोल रहा हूँ. अगर मैं इसमें देखूं तो जब कुछ खराब सुनते हो तब to hear off is what you feel bad about. Off the cuff is a phrase that is commonly used. Off the cuff means a rough estimate, top of my mind. Ill at ease is when you feel uncomfortable. जब कोई छोटा प्लेयर होता है उसको स्मॉल फ्राई बोलते हैं. These are very commonly used phrases. Question क्या है मुझे नहीं पता, पर ऑप्शंस इतने बेसिक है कि वहां से निकल जा रहा है. This was of no importance. Then there were corrections. So what I'm saying is जो reading comprehension था, जो phrase थे वो काफी basic phrases आ गए थे. These are sentence corrections, बहुत मुश्किल नहीं था. For example यहाँ अगर मैं देखता हूँ the setting of the story effects. Effect is a noun, affect is a verb. So answer A वाला होना चाहिए. Also because setting है singular तो affects आएगा, affect नहीं आएगा तो ये भी हट जाता है. And when I say story, the plot of the story, there has to be an apostrophe S here, and therefore 3 becomes the answer. बहुत भारी grammar भी use नहीं हो रही थी. When you're assigning someone, it happens to whom, therefore whomever is assigned, he would have definitely accepted that offer. When nothing has much has changed, we don't use hasn't it, we use has it. जब कुछ change हुआ होता है तो हम बोलते हैं, for example, we say it is completely new, isn't it? So when everything has changed, we use isn't it. When nothing has changed, we use has it. So nothing much has changed, has it will be the right answer. Moving on, ये वाले जो questions थे ये थोड़े से मुझे लगा better quality, higher level of difficulty था, which were completing the paragraph. And here the problem was also the fact that in some cases the blank was in the middle of the paragraph. So that was something which could have created a problem. Apart from that, again fill in the blanks अगर बहुत सिंपल से fill in the blanks थी. यहाँ पे influencer have to label their promotional posts in order to safeguard the interest of the customer. Straightforward वो है, ये concept मुझे पता है. Here also when we look at this word, the portraits are everywhere, and therefore their ubiquitous becomes the answer. इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा कुछ सोचना नहीं था. Here also when we look at it, एक word से ना break हो जाता है. Investing people and has dash. Now assured, you cannot assured spending, so ये खत्म हो जाता है. Prioritize spending अगर होगा तो compromise नहीं करोगे investing on people में, therefore prioritize will be the answer. Compromise, assured, reassuring. Sorry. You will not compromise spending to prioritize, and therefore you will say company will not compromise on investing in people and has prioritized spending on its employees so that they are reassured. The words used were very, very basic and therefore not very difficult to comprehend or solve for that matter. यहाँ पे जैसे बोल रहा है, some people find it very something that is not uncomfortable could be uncomfortable, disconcerting. और जब हम बात करते हैं तो यहाँ पे life on screen हो गया था, and therefore private life on the screen was disconcerting becomes the answer. Fill in the blanks also overall were very easy in terms of level of difficulty. जो वर्ड्स यूज हुए थे इनकरेक्ट यूसेज, दे वर आल्सो वेरी इजी. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर इनको देखोगे तो यहाँ पे फार्दर की बात हो रही थी, लिव फार्दर इज ओके, फार्दर योर करियर नहीं होता, फर्दर योर करियर होता है. इसके आगे वाले क्वेश्चंस और ज्यादा आसान थे. फॉर एग्जांपल यहाँ अगर आप देखोगे, दिस वर्ड वाज ऑन क्लाइमेटिक. नाउ द क्लाइमेटिक मूवमेंट इन द मैच, दिस इज नॉट क्लाइमेटिक, it is the climactic, climax wala moment. The third was the wrong usage. It gets easier, I think. Kahan gaya? Ring in their clothes. Haan. You don't ring their clothes, you WRING, ring. So that was the wrong usage. Ye tide wala question bhi kafi wo tha. High tide. It was a full moon night and the tide was high. Tide जो ये होती है ocean वाली होती है, TID होती है, TIED नहीं होती. Also, the pet dog could not come to terms with the master's dog and wanted to grave. Grave नहीं करते, grieve करते हैं. Grieve का past tense भी grieved होता है, grave नहीं होता. So all I'm saying is easy words were used, and their spotting them was not very difficult. For example, here the musician would hear a chord. Musician chord CHORD होता है, CORD नहीं होता, right? अगर आप इसकी बात करो पैराजम्बल्स की, देवर आल्सो नॉट वेरी डिफिकल्ट. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर यहाँ देखता हूँ, वंस दे रीच कैनॉट बी द स्टार्टर, एन एक्सपर्ट फ्रॉम द टीम एक्सप्लेन्ड, कुछ बात हुई होगी पहले. द विंड कैरीज देम कैनॉट बी द स्टार्टर, एंड देयरफॉर द ओपनिंग सेंटेंस हैज टू बी द फोर्थ वन. अ ग्रुप ऑफ रीचर्स वर सरप्राइज्ड टू फाइंड द क्लाउड्स had carried drug resistant bacteria over a long distance. This becomes the first statement. Then it says, what did they find? An expert from the team explained that the bacteria usually lived in the surface vegetation such as leaves. यहाँ से the wind carries them off the surface. Surface की बात करें तो पहले उसका mention होना चाहिए, into the atmosphere. And once they are high, once they reach higher altitude, they are able to travel all over the world. 4, 2, 3, 1 will be the right arrangement. The answer key is already out. मैं answers में नहीं घुस रहा. All I'm saying is questions बहुत मुश्किल नहीं थे solve करना, and therefore the cutoff for English would be pretty high. If I say what kind of questions should have been attempted, as I said, paragraphs definitely attempt करने थे. ये जो missing phrases थे ये attempt करने चाहिए थे, इसमें अच्छी accuracy आ जाती. For the corrections, out of the 5 or 6 corrections, I think 3, 4 you would have gotten right. For the 4 para completions, 2 or 3 could have gotten right. Words fill in the blanks में I think most of them were pretty easy. 6 fill in the blanks were there, so इसमें से 4 या 5 ठीक हो जाते. Sentence correction, out of the 6 sentence corrections, I don't think you would have, it was very easy to spot at least 5 out of them. Or para completion, para jumble maybe I think around 4 to 5, I think 4 para jumbles could have been done, right? Therefore what I'm saying is a good attempt in this paper would have been short answer में about 8 questions, MCQ में about 20-21 questions, verbal में about 32 odd questions. This would be a very good attempt, and I think काफी safe सा हो जाएगा. So 32 plus 8 is 40, 60. A score of 240 what you would have reached. Cutoff wise अगर मैं देखता हूँ तो about 20 to 25 here, 50 to 52 here, and I'd go with 120 in verbal. So 77, 197, so an overall cutoff about 190 is what you can expect in this paper for Indore. Now, if you look at the other papers, थोड़ा थोड़ा कम हो जाएगा. If the cutoff for Indore is 190, IFT and Ranchi will look at a cutoff of around 175. Nirma, etc. will then probably look at a cutoff about 150. Very broadly speaking, this should be the numbers for the general category candidates. एक और towards the end जो last बात मैं बोलना चाहूंगा वो ये है, पेपर बहुत डिफिकल्ट नहीं था. अगर आपके बेसिक स्ट्रॉन्ग है, यू वुड बी एबल टू क्लियर दिस पेपर. एंड इवन if you're someone जिसके पास मैथ्स नहीं की, or someone जिसकी इंग्लिश वीक है, even then solving the paper with preparation it will not be difficult. And as you can see, जैसे मैथ्स में भी दिखाया, a lot of questions were repeat questions or similar questions have been asked earlier or are done in class as well. Out of the 45 questions in maths, you can easily spot almost 12 to 15 questions जो आपने class में कर रखे होंगे, almost similar, almost के लगभग numbers different होगा, but concept पूरा same होगा. तो अगर वैसा question exam में आता है, by default confidence बढ़ता है और attempt बढ़ जाता है, right? So that is a brief analysis of this paper. I hope you found this helpful in some way. And again, do write into us, do reach us for any doubts that you have. If you think in terms of preparation, in terms of your attempt, in terms of what colleges to look at, do feel free to get in touch, and it will always be a pleasure to help you out. Yeah, so thank you very much for your time. Hope to see you guys soon, and all the very best for your upcoming results. Hope you do really, really well. Take care. Bye.